Maria.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. What are the chances of having a Mario and a Maria back to back? It's pretty cool, one letter. How many people are married or have been married or are engaged? Okay, I'm just curious. I just wanted to find out because this road trip has to do with my wedding, planning my wedding. It was back in 1999, and feels like yesterday and a million years ago at the same time. But my husband and I were at our rehearsal, which of course you usually do the night before the wedding. The priest is standing there, and he and I are in front of the priest, and we've already gone over who stands where and who says what. And the priest at the end of the rehearsal looks into my eyes. I felt like he looked into my soul practically. And he says, alle 9 domani. And he said that because we were getting married in Italy. And he said that he wanted us to come tomorrow at 9 o'clock on the dot. And I am late for everything always. So I felt like, oh my gosh, here we are in Italy, and this priest knows me. He knows that I am going to be last minute everything and running in late, and oh my gosh, how did he do that? So I'm like, I have to be on time for this wedding the next day. And the reason we were in Italy to begin with was because when we got engaged in Ireland. My husband and I, my fiance, then loved to travel. So we got engaged in Ireland, came home, and I grew up in South Philly, but I was living in Drexel Hill at the time. So I called the priest in South Philly where I used to live, because that was where I thought I was going to get married. It was the church where my parents got married. And I said, Father Caravalli, or whatever his Italian last name was, I can't remember now. And I said, I'd like to get married. This is where I went to grade school. This is where I grew up. I want to get married. I'm finally engaged. And he said, well, I'm sorry, you moved out of the parish. We have a policy now, because the PR for the Catholic Church is so good that, they needed to turn me down and say, no, thank you. You moved out of the parish. We have to stick with our rules. You can't get married back here in South Philly. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. Okay. So I looked at my local parish in Drexel Hill, booked our wedding there, booked a reception at the Overbrook Country Club. We had friends who belonged there that were willing to sponsor us. And a few months after that, I was all excited. I had the band booked. I had the date picked. They had a huge fire in their kitchen, and the whole thing burned down. No, they didn't have any sprinklers or anything. Returned all the checks to the brides and said, good luck finding another place for your wedding. And I was like, I was so sick of looking at reception halls and thinking chicken or steak or, do you want white wine, open bar, cash. I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I can't look at another reception hall. I'm done. And my husband, my fiance at the time, said, all right, if you could have your dream wedding, let's just say anywhere, where would it be? And without even blinking an eye, I said, Italy. That's it. We had been there many times. It was where both my grandparents were from, on my mother's side. Both her parents were from the same town in southern Italy called Calabria. And they didn't know each other in Calabria. They met when they were in the United States, which is really weird. They had come, at separate times. And I said we would go to Italy. And my husband and I had been there a few times already. We had been to the town where my grandmother came from. We'd seen the house where my great-grandparents lived and where they raised their kids before they came to the States. And I said, this is what we have to do. This is like my calling. I could see it there. So we came home and told my parents that we were getting married in Italy. We went from South Philly to Drexel Hill to Italy. And my mom is, she would always have her bags packed no matter what. She was all for it. And my dad said, are you crazy? You have a church. He turned me in the direction of the church and looked out the window. I could see the steeple right here. St. Dots. What? Why are you? It's 2 blocks away. What do you have to go to Italy to get married for? And I said, because, Grandma and Grandpa came from there. And he said, they came here because life was better here. They didn't even want to get married there. You're coming here. They came here. You're going there. It doesn't make any sense. I said, you don't understand. Every time Ron and I come back from Europe, we've done trips all over the place. Spain, Ireland, Italy. We love it. We go cheap airfare. I take my spring break from when I was teaching, and we go for a week or so. Every time we come back, we show you and Mom the pictures, and we say, you've got to get over there. And my mother says, one day we're going to go. One day we're going to go. And they never go. This was a way to make a connection between my family, to force my mother and father to go to Italy and to have this wedding there. The other thing that complicated things a little bit was that my mother had started chemotherapy. And She had finished her first treatment, and the doctor was not sure if she was strong enough to take this trip. So that was another concern, a rightful concern that my dad had. It turned out that she was able to take the trip. We went over there, about 10 of my family members, including my sister, who was my maid of honor, went over there. And my father was a smoker at the time, and I think he was a little nervous about taking an 8-hour flight without having a cigarette. But he did it. He stood tall and was able to take the flight. And we went there. So this priest tells me the night before the wedding, I have to be there on time. So that morning, I'm dressed, I'm ready to go. The hair's done, the dress is on. I tell the woman at the hotel, I need my Fiat. We had about 20 little Fiats coming back and forth from all the guests, picking us up at the hotel and taking us to the church. And I said, we have to go on time. I have to be at the church on time. She said, no, you don't understand. In Italy, that's what the priest says. But none of the Italian brides are there on time. You're not supposed to be there on time. They don't expect you to be there on time. Because once the bride arrives, the wedding starts. You walk in, you don't wait in the back. They begin the wedding. And I said, no, you don't get it. He knows me. I have to be on time. He said it to me, spoke to my soul in Italian, and I have to be there on time. So she said, all right, we had the whole crew there. It was a downpour. They said the people in the town, this teeny tiny little coastal town, right on the tip of the boot, right across from Sicily, called Calabria. Well, the town is Peloto. Well, the wedding happened. It was very rainy. My father and I walked down the aisle, saw my mom there. A man spoke and gave one of the readings, who was a man who was raised by my grandmother, and it was the wedding of our dreams and the road trip of our dreams. Thank you.
Maria, everybody.